Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is another face-to-face chat and a true crime story time. Today is Monday, November 22nd. So let's recap the weekend. So my glasses are dirty. Friday had the arbitration. The morning was atrocious, but the afternoon it got better. And they ended a half hour early on Friday. And I think that's going to be like the trend. That's what they like to do. That's good. Because we still have 4 more weeks of this before it's done with. And so I had to pick Bill up at the airport at midnight. So I got a lot of stitching done. In the couple of days that he was gone, I've made good progress. If you look at my cross-stitch vlog this upcoming week, on Saturday, you'll be able to see, and I got a lot done yesterday too, last night. So I am off all this week. The arbitration is taking a break, thank God. But I am still tired from the weekend. So picked Bill up at 12 o'clock, midnight. We didn't really get to bed till like 12:30 because of just coming home and being awake and all that. So the next morning, Saturday, we got up about 7. I had a massage, and then when I got back, I had to get in the shower, pack a bag, because we had a wedding to go to in Ocean City, which was 2.5 hours away. So we stopped and had lunch at Cracker Barrel, and we got there about 3:45. We had to be at the church a little bit before 6, and then the reception was back at the hotel that we were staying at. So we got back up to the room at about 11:30 at night, and then went to bed and got up the next morning at 7:30ish, and I was just so tired. Oh my God. And then we drove 2.5 hours home, got home and, unpacked our bag. Didn't have too much to unpack, but I didn't do anything the rest of the day but like lay around, and I finished the book. Oh, that reminds me. So my Bill's ex-wife and her husband were also at the wedding. So we got put at their table. And me and Bill's ex-wife got to talking about books. And I was so proud of my 50 books read, right? My challenge, because I've actually read 51 now. She pulls out her Goodreads. She has read 231 books. I was like, well, I bow down to the queen. I'm like, well, I was so proud of my 50 books. She was like, oh no, that's, definitely. And then when I told Bill too, he was like, well, you're doing 2 videos a day and working. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, 50 books is nothing to sneeze at. Like, that's almost a book a week. Well, I will have surpassed that. So absolutely, I should be proud of the challenge that I've done. But 231 books, my mouth fell open. I was like, that's like a book a day almost. She said she doesn't watch TV. So, okay, well, if you come home and you just read all night, yeah, I guess you would be able to do that. That was I was impressed, though. That was impressive. My feet were killing me in my shoes. By the end of the night, I had those shoes off, and I've forgotten how awful it is to wear pantyhose. Hadn't worn pantyhose in I don't know how long. I like the dress, though, that I got. The dress fit well. Bill and I matched. Everyone was like, ooh, you guys are matching, because my dress was black with like red on the sleeves, red on the collar. I had a red purse, like a red clutch, and red shoes, and I got Bill a red tie. So yeah, we were matching. Yeah, it was good to get back home though. So today we were supposed to have our COVID booster at CVS at 4:30. So this morning I slept in a little bit. I didn't get out of bed till a little bit after 9. So my dad had called me at like 8:15, and I was already like kind of awake. So I talked to him for a long while, and it's going to be really good to see them. We're going over there for Thanksgiving. And then Bill called me at 9 o'clock, so I talked to him for a few minutes, and then I got up. So my plan today was to catch up on banking. I had to check email because I didn't even turn my computer on yesterday. It had been turned off since Friday night. So between banking, emails, prepping for the next month of the arbitration, I just wanted to get all of that out of the way. That was like 3 hours of my time. Yeah. And in the midst of that, I'm sitting at the computer and I get 2 emails that says, oh, we can't, CVS canceled your COVID booster appointment because they ran out of them. Okay, so now I'm irritated because I was hoping to get it today because if I had any effects or anything, you know, I'm off the whole week. And I told Bill, I said, if I can't schedule it this week, I'm not getting it until like the week of Christmas. I said, I can't go during the arbitration. I work like a 10-hour day. So after much searching around, I was able to book it. My appointment is at 12:30 on Saturday. Bill's is at 2:15. I pray to God they don't cancel it. I said, if they cancel it, I'm going to have to just wait to schedule it. I'm not going to have a choice here. Yeah. So that was irritating. And Bill is scheduled. They're doing Thanksgiving at his work tomorrow. He is off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He has a doctor appointment Wednesday to check about his blood pressure. And then he scheduled my car for an oil change at 11. So he'll probably just take my car to the doctor appointment and he'll just take it to get the oil change right after that. So technically, I really just have, you know, today and tomorrow by myself in the house. And it's already like 2:15 here. I mean, it really took a lot of time in the morning for me to get everything done. But yeah, I stayed up last night. Bill went to bed early. He was in bed like right before 8. And I stayed up till like 11 o'clock and did a bunch of stitching. And I finished watching the series finale of Wentworth, which is like the Australian prison show. So good. I've seen all of the episodes. So good. And then I caught up on The Sinner, which, oh my God, that show. And then I also caught up on I Know What You Did Last Summer on Amazon. And that show was brought to a conclusion as well. I'm pretty sure that show's over now. You find out who the killer was and all of that. And then I forgot what I was watching. I think after that I went downstairs because that was like 3 hours. Yeah, that was like 3 hours of TV. And like I said, I finished the book. What was the book that I just read? It was, The Neighbor's Secret. It was very good. Was that the last one I read? No. Did I say you could go by Melanie Gideon? Holy shit. The book was told in alternating perspectives of the 2 women and their 2 daughters. So good because there's a twist at the end and you're like, OMG. Yeah. It was so good. So the book I started reading just today, and I'm still reading the sample part of it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy it, is called The Mother Next Door by Tara Laskowski. So here is the premise. Good mothers never show their feelings, never spill their secrets, never admit to murder. The annual Halloween block party is the pinnacle of the year on idyllic suburban cul-de-sac Ivy Woods Drive. An influential group of neighborhood moms known as the Ivy Five plans the event for months. Except the Ivy Five has been 4 for a long time. When a new mother moves to town, eager to fit in, the moms see it as an opportunity to make the group whole again. This year's block party should be the best yet until the women start receiving anonymous messages threatening to expose the quiet neighborhood's dark past and the lengths they've gone to hide it. As secrets seep out and the threats intensify, the Ivy Five must sort the loyal from the disloyal, the good from the bad. They'll do anything to protect their families. But when a twisted plot is revealed with dangerous consequences, their steady foundation begins to crumble, leaving only one certainty. After this year's block party, Ivy Woods Drive will never be the same. And it is told in the alternating perspectives of the residents. So I just like books like that because you get to know the inner workings of all of these characters' minds. So enjoying it so far. I'm only 2 chapters in though, because I was reading it when I was having breakfast this morning. Okay. So today's story, yeah, I'm on chapter 3. I just pulled it up. Today's story is called Shooter's Ghost. There can be very few people in the world who have gone from stepping onto the podium to receive an Olympic gold medal to sitting down in the electric chair to be put to death for murder. James Howard Snook is likely in a category of 1. Wow, really? Okay. Dr. James Howard Snook was a respected man in Columbus, Ohio, a professor of veterinary medicine at Ohio State University, a devoted husband and father, a member of the Scioto Country Club. Dr. Snook was also an Olympian, having won 2 gold medals for pistol shooting at the 1920 games at Antwerp, Belgium. So I don't think they have that as a sport anymore in the Olympics, but pistol shooting, yeah, I don't know. He was liked by everyone who knew him, described by associates as a fine veterinarian, a fine man, a good neighbor. He was also a philanderer, not of the cereal variety, but a philanderer nonetheless. So nobody can keep their fucking dick in their pants. Yeah. It would be unfair, though, to label Dr. Snook solely by the adulterous relationship he embarked on in 1926. Snook, after all, was not a candidate for sainthood, but a normal red-blooded man who, at 46, might have been experiencing what is commonly known as a midlife crisis. Like any man of his vintage, he would have been flattered by the interest of an attractive young woman. The woman in question was named Theora Hicks. She was 21 years old and a medical student at OSU. He's 46, she's 21, so that's 25 years difference. She also worked part-time as a stenographer in the veterinary building. So that's probably how he came in contact with her, right? That was how she and Snook met, how they started chatting, and how he ended up driving her back to her dorm room one evening. Then those drives became a regular occurrence and extended to longer trips into the countryside. By June 1926, a few weeks after their initial conversation, the professor and the co-ed were lovers. Lovers. Kind of like murder, right? For Dr. Snook, the attentions of this vivacious young woman must have been intoxicating. Okay, a little side note I just remembered. In this hotel, we stayed at the Dunes Hotel in Ocean City, which is like an 11-story hotel. All the rooms face the ocean. They're just all long hallways. Okay. One of their elevators was broken. When we were trying to go down to go to the wedding, to go out to the car, we stood there for like 20 minutes waiting for the elevator. And when it finally opened, well, first of all, we could hear the elevator stopping on every floor. And every time they stopped, these kids would scream. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. Like, really? So the elevator finally gets to our floor. Now, Bill's in a suit. I'm in my dress. The elevator opens and I fucking shit you not. There was like 3 parents and like 8 kids. And one of the mothers in the back was like, you don't want to get on this elevator. Bill's like, we'll wait for the next one. Those kids must have pushed every single button in the elevator. It got to the point where Bill was like, we might have to take the stairs. And I'm like, if I got to walk down 6 flights of stairs, because we were on 6th floor, I said, my feet are going to be killing me before we are even to the fucking wedding, to the ceremony. So when the next elevator came, because we were approaching, like we were going to be late to the ceremony at this point. When the next elevator came and there was a bunch of people, he's like, we're getting in. So we did. And it was just, I've never seen anything like it. And when we got down to the 1st floor and walked outside, we saw that family. And I hear the mother say, just put her in her motherfucking seat. I'm like, oh, that's good. Yeah. Can you imagine what that whole car ride and excursion is? I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So for Dr. Snook, the attentions of this vivacious young woman must have been intoxicating. But as Snook was soon to learn, Theora was a high-maintenance mistress. She was moody, petulant, and demanding. Despite her tender years, she was far more sexually experienced than he was. And she also had a slightly sadomasochistic bent, which she expected her lover to indulge. So whips, chains, something like that. Snook, who had lived a relatively sheltered life until then, was introduced to activities he had never tried before, like fellatio. Jesus Christ, here we go. Okay. Theora could also be cruel and demanding. Oh my God. I always scan ahead a little bit. She frequently mocked the professor's performance, telling him that her other lover, a former OSU student named Marianne Myers, was bigger than him in bed and had a bigger penis. Isn't that nice? She even recommended some sex manuals to Dr. Snook and ordered him to study them, which he dutifully did. What? I can imagine. Here you go, Bill. Read this sex manual. He'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you kidding me right now? Okay. Whether or not this had the desired result is uncertain, but Theora did at least stick around. The affair would continue for 3 years. Wow. From 1926 to 1929. So you think, and back in this time, I mean, the sexual revolution hadn't happened and all that. This was probably very taboo back in that time. At first, their trysts would take place in Snook's car parked on some quiet country lane. Then he started renting rooms and finally took a room permanently in a boarding house where he passed himself off as Howard Snook, salt salesman, with Theora as his young wife. From then on, they would hook up at least 2 to 3 times a week, usually between the hours of 6 and 9 p.m. Snook would then scurry on home to his wife and claim that he had to work late. Boy, is that a very popular lie when you're trying to, yeah. So for her part, Helen Snook appears to have been oblivious to her husband's dalliance. In any case, she was never in danger of losing Howard to his young lover. Snook would later claim that there was no emotional connection between him and Theora, that their relationship was purely sexual, and that they merely satisfied each other's needs. But he must have felt at least some tenderness towards her, because after her dorm room was broken into, he bought her a pistol for protection. Remember, he is an Olympic gold medalist pistol person. The gun was a Remington Derringer, and Snook even took the time to give Theora shooting lessons at a local range. And he would later say she was a decent shot. Not decent enough, as it turned out. Neither the weapon nor her skill with it would protect her when it really mattered. On June 16, 1929, Theora Hicks's roommates, Beatrice and Alice Buston, walked into a Columbus police station and reported her missing. Theora, they said, had not been seen in the last 24 hours. The police had barely processed the paperwork when there was a report of a female corpse discovered on an overgrown embankment near the New York Central shooting range, and it was Theora. An autopsy would later reveal that she had been savagely beaten with a ball-peen hammer. Oh, that had to have been quite painful, causing skull fractures that had sent shards of bone into her brain. Death, though, was from blood loss. Theora's throat had been cut and both her jugular and carotid had been severed. She would have bled out in minutes. According to the coroner, her killer probably had some knowledge of anatomy. Who's a doctor in this scenario? Yeah. As the police began their investigation, focus fell initially on Theora Hicks's convoluted love life. Several boyfriends were interviewed but cleared by alibi. James Snook was not among them because she had kept that a secret. Okay. But fate was about to play a cruel trick on Dr. Snook. Over the days that followed, articles about the murder were a prominent front page feature of the Columbus Dispatch. An avid follower of the case, landlady Margaret Smalley thought that she recognized the victim but couldn't be sure. But then Mrs. Smalley turned to the newspaper's inner pages and saw a face that she did recognize. The article identified him as Professor James H. Snook of OSU's veterinary faculty. She knew him as Howard Snook, the salt salesman who had rented a room from her along with his young wife. Mrs. Smalley went immediately to call the police. Taken into custody and charged on suspicion of murder, Snook initially denied any involvement in Theora's death. But after blood was found in his car, on his clothes, and on a ball-peen hammer that he owned, he eventually broke down and confessed. According to Snook, he and Theora had driven to the Scioto Country Club that day, intending to find a quiet spot to make love. However, Theora was not satisfied with the location he chose, saying she wanted to go somewhere where she could scream. Okay, then. Snook had then driven to a place they both knew, the New York Central shooting range, where he had once taught her how to fire a pistol. This locale met the criteria for remoteness, but having sex in Snook's tiny Ford coupe proved unsatisfying for both of them. Theora then suggested getting a room, but Snook said that he didn't have the time. He and his wife were planning a trip out of town to visit his mother, and it was at this point that things turned nasty. According to Snook, Theora became angry and started screaming, "Damn your mother, I don't care about your mother. Damn Mrs. Snook, I'm going to kill her and get her out of the way." Snook tried to calm her down, but Theora was by now working herself into a frenzy. She even threatened to kill her lover's infant daughter. Dude, no. Then suddenly she unzipped his trousers. Oh my unzipped his trousers, put her head in his lap, and started performing fellatio on him. But she was oh my God, what I'm about to read. But she was violent with it, biting his penis and twisting his testicles. What? Unable to tolerate the pain, Snook tried to push her away, and when he couldn't do so, he reached into the back seat of the car and picked up a hammer that was laying there, and he used this to strike her on the head. I'm guessing if someone's got your tender bits in their mouth and hand, you would be careful about wrenching them away from that area, right? That succeeded in getting Theora to release her grip, but now she was mad and she started shrieking, "Damn you, I'll kill you too." She then scrambled from the vehicle and began rooting around in her purse, and Snook was sure that she was going for the pistol he had bought her. That makes sense. Terrified that he would be shot, he rounded the vehicle and struck her several times on the head with the hammer. He only realized that he had used deadly force when she collapsed to the ground. Well, if you hit someone in the head with a hammer multiple times, what do you think is going to happen? It was an interesting version of how the murder might have happened, although likely not an accurate one. For one thing, it omitted the most important detail, the fact that Theora's throat had been cut. Yes, I forgot that. Pressed about this, Snook first said that he had no recollection of inflicting the injury. Then he changed his story and admitted that he had done it. He claimed that it was to end Theora's suffering and give her a quick death. But the police didn't believe his dumb ass. Their theory was that this was a premeditated murder precipitated by Snook's ongoing humiliation or by some lover's quarrel. Remember, she was like, "You're not as good as my other lover. Read this book." Yeah. Perhaps Theora had wanted to end the affair, or perhaps she had threatened to tell his wife or to go public with the sordid details. Either way, Dr. Snook would have to answer for what he had done. An indictment for first-degree murder meant that his life was on the line. The Snook trial was one of the most sensational in Ohio's legal history. No shit, because this is 1929, and when all that came to light, with the press already hinting at the shocking sexual details that would be revealed, demand for places inside the 200-seat courtroom was at a premium. Queues started to form outside the courthouse at 3 a.m. Get the fuck out of here. And there was much jostling among spectators eager to get in. Those who made the cut would not be disappointed. On the stand, Dr. Snook was harried and probed by the prosecution, forced to reveal intimate details of his sexual activity with the victim. These were considered so scandalous, what did I say, that the local newspapers refused to print them for fear of corrupting public morals. Oh, Lord. Yeah, okay. When an enterprising stenographer ran off a few hundred copies and tried to capitalize on the notoriety of the case, it caused a near riot. Oh, my God. In the end, James Howard Snook's assertion that he had acted in self-defense was rejected by the jury, which took just 28 minutes to reach its guilty verdict. Snook was sentenced to die in the electric chair, a sentence that was carried out on February 28, 1930, after Snook's appeal was rejected. Shortly after his death, a rumor surfaced that Snook had confessed to premeditated murder just before his execution. A signed confession was even put forward, although this would later prove to be a forgery. Snook had stuck to his story right to the end and had died protesting his innocence. I don't even have words for that. Wow, that's my word. Can you imagine? Like, I told you it was scandalous. I told you it was scandalous back in that time. Like, it wouldn't be scandalous now because we've heard and seen everything by this point, right? But good God, I'm still imagining her biting his penis and twisting his balls. Like, I cannot with that. Wait till I tell Bill that story when he comes home. He's going to be like, ooh, don't talk about that. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope you're having a good Monday, a good start to the week. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.